So we are back. Hi everybody, this is Unreal Engine 5 tutorial series for beginners. It's an overview. This is video number 20 and 2, I think. And what we are going to do now is we dock this first on our layout, and we are going to watch. I click with my mouse, right click here on the space, and we watch this pop-up menu here, which we can see the same you can get here when you click on add. It's the same. So what we have here is, let me click it here in a minute. On top we see something like import to game, and this one is actually important when you import something. Yeah, it's an important thing. Normally you don't need this active. Most time what you are going to do is you export it from anywhere, and in Unreal Engine there comes a pop-up menu here on the right side and asking you, do you want it imported? So this one is the active version. So when we can click here, and then you can find anything you really want to import. But I made all the other way around. I exported it or imported here. So what you can see here is add feature or content pack, feature or content pack. And this one is just, for example, the starter content. So provided packs. So I click on it, and then you can see we have here other packs and so on. It's a little bit strange content. Let's see what we have here. We go to the content, and you can see here, here's the starter content, but perhaps you can also include here other templates. I'm not sure. You can test it. You just click on it, but I'm not going to do this right now because I'm not talking about that. And C++, template and so on. Okay, normally you go here to content, and then you have here perhaps different kind of packs. Here at start is a start content. This one we already had, and we have integrated in our file system. Okay, so I cancel here. Let's go on a little bit. Then this one is clear, new folder. Oops, sorry. And then we have here basic assets. I talked about this already. Blueprint class, yes. If you want to make a blueprint level, this is the map. It's called here level. And material, if you make a material, and this is the Niagara system. And this is the effect system, which I said you should use instead of Cascade, because this one is the new supported system, but in our starter content we have no, these effects are in the old Cascade system. Careful, don't learn this one. If you are learning Unreal Engine 5, you should learn the new system, which is Niagara system, this one. And I think I showed you this as well. And this one, oh no, yeah, doesn't matter. And this one looks like this one a little bit more. It can be that it looks like a little bit more complicated than the other one, because they say the other one is more straightforward and so on. But this one is more powerful, has more features, and perhaps more better results. So keep this in mind. I delete this one, and we continue. And then we go to the create advanced assets. Yes. And now I will only mention what is important at start and whatnot. Animations. Yes, we have to deal with animations, but you see here a super list again. And believe me, you will need almost nothing at start. Yeah, these are things which you only need when you are at this point. So for example, you say I need a aim, but if your game, for example, doesn't need a aim or something like that, then you will never use this one. And that goes so on with the other ones too. If you have never a camera animation sequence, for example, then you will never use one. So don't worry about this one. But there is at least one you will use, which is probably something like an animation blueprint, or something like a blend space, and so on. There are some you will use, but most of them you will not use. Let me show you what you really will use. So we go to my world, and I said I use this one just for convenience, so I can click here on default pawn instead of searching it all time here manually. I go here, it jumps to the point. I open this one up with double click. Then I go here to the viewport, and then I go to my capsule component. No, that's not. I go to my mesh, and I think it's here. And then we have here our animation section. And you can see this one. I click on this search. What was it? I click on the browse to asset anim class. I click on it, and you can see what we have here. The tooltip on top, it says animation blueprint, for example. You see something like that you will create for your own character if you don't use this one here, for example. The next thing here in the animation section, you can see the second one, the blend space, and here the third one, the animation sequence. And these three parts are mostly which you really need, and later all other things you will not use. Let me show you again. In animation, you see we have this animation blueprint, that was this one, and then we have a blend space, one of this one, not both probably, and then we have the nothing. Then we have here the animation itself. Animation sequence. Is here anywhere animation sequence? It looks like that will be created anywhere else, not here, because I don't see here. I see a level sequence here. Okay, so you see that's very important. That was the first thing. Let's go here. Artificial intelligence. This one is a short. This one sounds very difficult, but actually it's very easy. It's AI, which you know it's the NPC in our game. NPC, you know, it's just a program, a character which the computer controls and do something AI. And here, which you probably will, yes, when you create an AI, you will have to do probably a behavior tree, and this one I don't know. So let's go on. This you need this only if you create NPCs. If you game, for example, no need NPCs, you don't create this, so you will never see it. Then blendables, material instance. This is more for a designer, and he can see if you want to blend the material instance. I have never used it, so perhaps you as a designer you will use it probably. Blueprints, yes. Here we talked already a little bit. Blueprint class. This is the class which you almost all time use. For example, that's why it's here on top on basic assets, which is very often used. On the other side, the other ones here: blueprint interface, blueprint function library, macro library, animation structure are not so much used, but important could be later. Perhaps this struct. Perhaps not, yeah, perhaps, and this enumerations, because these are nice for programming things. And this one is nice if you go at once, you make function libraries, which means you make something to reduce your work. But you can forget at start all the other one. Actually, you need blueprint class, and this is already here, because you will start here, learn the basics from here, and then if you need the other one, they will introduce. So you see, it looks all time so much, but in real you use really almost nothing at start. That's good. And then editor utilities. I never used any of this. Unity blueprint. When you are here, you can use them. Okay. Here's our foliage creation. I talked about this here in the foliage mode, right? There you need later, if you are going there, you create then your foliage class. You, for example, you create this one and then you add here your grass, tree, different kinds of course, and then you can add this foliage here to the foliage editor and then place them here with a nice thing. So this one is useful only when you are a designer and are creating a landscape. And here you have your landscape grass type. Okay, you see they have here static mesh separate files for that. Yeah, and then that's why I said you should watch YouTube to learn this proper when to use, why to use. And so this is only a overview. FX, special effects. So, and interesting is FX means special effects, but we have actually two special effects because there is a sound special effects and graphics special effects. Here we have only the graphics ones, and Niagara. You see, all is Niagara. What I said, this is the Niagara system. Learn only Niagara system, and yes, and there are different options. Let's see what we have here. Niagara script, yes, Niagara effect type, emitter, function script, and so this one, what here is, it's not so important. The only important at start is this Niagara system. You click on it, you watch a YouTube tutorial how to create effect, and these other things here are only needed if you make something special for that. So you see, it looks again very much, but in real it's only one thing which you just watch, and then they will point out if they need anything of these other options here. And let's go on. Gameplay, light white. What's instance? Okay, this I never used. Instance I used, but not this one. Is this new? I don't know. So this one, although we will talk about instances in programming, but not here. Materials, I talked already about materials. When you create a material, you go here, just create this material, and then we have here different options again. And I said already, you have to watch again a material tutorial if you are interested in creating a material. This one is important for designer because they need materials for their static meshes, assets, and so on. And when they watch materials, how to create materials and so on, and all this other material function, there are more options. Material instance, yes, they will be used and explained then when you to use, why to use, and to get it. But you see here only material is important at the start, and all other things you use when they explain it and need it. So let's go to media. Media at start. The only thing what you really need is, let's see, media playlist, media play. Almost nothing. So because I think the media player, perhaps, I'm not sure, because the media here you can just put, for example, no, you get first example a clip, for example a video clip, interesting, or anything, and you can put this clip, or yeah, you can put this clip on a static mesh and you can watch it on a static mesh. For example, you have here big wall static mesh. You can put this clip on this static mesh, and then you have to go to this media, and I think there is only one of them. Here you have again many options, but you really need again one of them, and you watch again YouTube tutorial if you really want to make, for example, like film, for example, not trailer, careful, this is not trailer, I think, but because a trailer will be a sequencer. This one is more, I think, I'm not sure. This one would work as a trailer too, but this one is more like you get media files, which is, for example, a film, audio file, or anything, and then you can use them, right? For example, you have here on top file media source, which means you just get the source here and then attach it to anything and then use it in your scene. So this one also at start, don't worry, you don't need it. Only if you have interest creating a media, something like in your game, then you use it. Miscellaneous, what we have, oh, it looks like much, and actually it looks only much, and it's not, because at start you will use again almost nothing. Here, careful, it says legacy. Legacy means it will be, you can read here the tooltip. This one will be not used in future, I think, something like, I have never read it, but I read it anywhere else. So don't use this one, right? Just use Niagara. Okay, and here what we have here, table, this one you don't need. Composite data table. Data table will be interesting later in programming. And curve, yeah, curve atlas. Most time here data asset will be interesting in programming, but again, almost all thing you can forget at start. This is just special things. For example, string table again for programming, a little bit mixed up, and sub UV animations in animations, and so you can almost forget all here, because they will point it out when you really need it, and they have special places where it will also where they need them. So let's go paper 2D. If you don't make, for example, a 2D game, or if you don't need sprite at all, you will never need anything here. But on the other side, if you make something 2D, or you need paper 2D, then you can, perhaps you need the sprites here, this very important tile map perhaps, and so on. But in general, most people make a 3D game, so they will never see this here at all. Then we have physics. Yes, in physics you will never need it at start, because the physics means, what means physics here, right? It's a very good question. Physics means just the interaction with assets. For example, let me show you something. I have here, let me go to my static meshes, and I take the static mesh, I put now the static mesh here on top, and when I play now, you see this one still stays on top, and that means there is no gravity, and gravity means no physics. So physics means there is an interaction with the static mesh, something like that. Also physics means most time there is a force, and here you can see the force is not set, for example. Let me see if I can set it so to change, but when I go to physics here, you see nothing. Oh, you can see it, it was right. So you see, for example, physics over at world gravity. Let me see, do this something? No, this was not. Anyway, normally you make here gravity. It was right, it was physics. I was wrong, sorry. I forget to set here one more setting. Let's make one. It's working now. Oops, not so. Now. Global gravity set. What is that? Okay, it's not working like I intended. Sorry. Why? Why are you doing world settings? Oh, I know why. Sorry, I made again crap like all time. Of course, I have to go to the details panel instead of world settings. Yes, that was my fault. Let's go again here. Physics. Let's write gravity. Gravity. Enable gravity. There it is enabled. Normally this one should work, which means physics are working, but we can see it is not going down. The reason for that is now very interesting, but I'm not going to suggest. Probably the reason is here is one more stat in transform down mobility, and it says static. I have to change this one probably to movable, and when I press now still not, then I don't know it right out of the bat why this is not working, because normally graph perhaps I made something. Can okay, let's you watch this, how to enable gravity. I don't know why normally it is gravity enabled and then movable. Yes, safe. I really don't know. Are you not dropping down? Anyway, let's get rid of this. I don't know why. There is I miss again any setting I miss again. That's why it's not working. Anyway, we go on with our view. So physics means in the end there is a force. For example, what I wanted to show you here is a force, a gravity force, who is pulling that down, which was not working. But let me show you this one. This one definitely works. For example, my character here, the player start, when I put it here down, I start and you can see I fall down because on my character physics is working, and this static mesh should behave the same, but probably I missed any setting there, but it's not important now. So let's go on. So just know physics, and there is not much actually what I know, but here is interesting something, chaos solver, not this one, but there is a chaos physics later, not here, but in general you can almost forget all at start, and only very special sound. Yes, sound is interesting. And sound, yes, this is a special section. Sound, you have create sound. I already talked about a little bit. So for example, Unreal Engine has this sound cue, which you create from the imported wave files, for example, and then you can create this one. And here in this sound cues you can code a little bit, and here you can go all these things what it says here. Create, for example, sound class. This is just analyzing tool, dialogue, not very important for dialogue voices, so they made something new. Effects, sound effects here. Mix, I think this is here also a little bit new, but in the end you create this sound cue, and then you can go here down and add this to this cue and make something. So that's very important later sound. And yeah, let's go on. Textures looks again so much here, but in real I showed you already what texture, and not really, but I showed you that textures are just images which you import, and that's it normally. And from textures you create the materials. For example, this grass material which you see here on the ground is a texture, was first a texture I mean, and then created a material out of it, and then manipulated it a little bit that it looks like this one, and then we could add it. And here we go where to create textures. Where we create textures. Normally you import textures because these are images which you want convert to materials, and here you have some options to manipulate it: cube render, canvas render, studio. So in general, believe me or not, you will most time need nothing here. The real thing is what you need is we have here our texture sections, right? This kind of stuff, for example, images you get from the internet, you import it here. Only the problem is you probably don't get, if it's not given this normals and this diffuse, they are sometimes not given, and then you have to create this one. But this red line here, this texture, this is the plain image, and this one you get most time. You import this here directly, this image, and for example, you can make an image of yourself and save it as a PNG, and then drag and drop it here, and you have your own image here, own texture here, and then you can this image convert to a material and then add this material to any static cube or whatever you want. So this is that. Let me see here one more thing. In general, you see again much things here, many options. In real, you need nothing. Later, user interface. Yes, user interface is nice. Later in programming, this will be interesting because sorry, I I mean not programming, absolute wrong. User interface. User interface is a shortcut. The shortcut for user interface is UI. It's very important. Sorry. And the only thing which you really need to know is this one. Actually, this one is very important. They should put it here on top too, because it's so important, because you create all time a widget blueprint, and this one is the next. About this widget blueprint I want to talk perhaps in the next video, because it is so important. What is this UI actually? When I start here my game, you don't see any UI. So the question is, what is then a UI? But when you start a game, for example, a real game, finished project, you see at start not a game, you see, for example, at start a main menu, right? And so things like where you can set the sound and all those things, and then you have your buttons to click and skills or whatever. All that kind of things is called user interface, because the user, which we are using it to use the game, and that's why it's called a user interface. And in Unreal Engine, this thing will be made here with the widget blueprints. So here we make setting up all the graphics plus all the codes. And here one more note to this widget blueprint. Here on world settings, when I go, I get rid of this one. So back here, which I said your game mode is very important, right? And in game mode there is also this HUD class, and HUD class and user widget blueprints are actually almost the same. This one we will use to create our user interface instead of using this HUD, but you can make this one as a parent class. What I mean with that, this one is the start class, and then add your widget to this one. But I didn't use that really because they have separated this anyhow, or I just made it wrong. This is the alternative way. Anyway, that's it, I think. One more word. So this is very important. So you see here many things, and in real, just think about it. It's again very less actually. So that's the last thing what I wanted to say. When you watch it, this 4 things here are very important. The user widget blueprint should be here on top too. And and you see there are only 7 and then perhaps 3 more things, and you have here 8 things, which is really important, and all other things are just their options. Okay, I think I talked much in this video. I stop, and in the next video I'm talking about this widget blueprint, our user interface, because this one is very important, because every game has a user interface. Okay, see you there. Bye.